Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Introspect TV. As you know, once again, I am Mira Sank, one half of Introspect TV, with my co-host Danielle. Danielle, what's up? How you doing today?
I am absolutely fantastic. What's going on, people? Gabe, what's
Um,
going on, honey?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. We here.
You sure?
Oh yeah, everything good.
Bobby, what's going on? Bobby, are you okay?
Bobby, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. How's everything?
I'm good. So today we have some very interesting topics to discuss. Um, we have some posts that went viral. We also wanted to go into a little bit about Nipsey Hussle. Rest in peace to him. Very sad situation. Um, yeah. And some more topics to talk about. Danielle, you want to tell us about your post that went viral this weekend?
Yes, I will. Can y'all hear me? Okay. So, this weekend I was sitting around thinking, and I'm a single mom, and I'm looking at my son. I'm thinking about my child and how I'm raising him and everything, and I was thinking about my parents. Like, I grew up with a stepfather, and my dad was a stepfather. And I'm like, you know what? Had it not been for my two parent households, because I grew up in multiple households, um, where would I have been? How would I have turned out? And I was like, even in the instance of looking at my own son, I was thinking like, damn, my baby might need a stepfather here and there in between. I'll think about stuff like that. And I decided to pose the thing because, looking at statistics and the crime in our neighborhoods and everything else, um, I'm like, you know what? If more kids had lived in a two-parent household, think about how much less crime there would be. Think about how girls wouldn't be so promiscuous. Think about what condition our communities would be in. And I think it would be a much better community if we had more two-parent households. And so then I was like, I was looking at the men and everything, and I'm like, let me just pose this question, and that's how it came about. Shoot Curlin the link. I think he's ready to join. Hello?
Yeah. Hold on one second. I'm trying to. Did you say Curtis wants to join too?
Yes.
Okay. Give me one second. Okay, so but how is that? So your post went viral. What were the responses that you got from the people? I know Gabe had something to say. I don't know if Bobby, you got a chance to see her post.
Oh my
I got
gosh.
the, I got the
People
ring.
went in. People went in. Um Hold up. Let me pull up the post because there was so much going on. So most of the men didn't feel like they should have to be stepfathers to women who decided to make mistakes. Their words, not mine. Um, for women who decided to make mistakes in not for these women who just because most men decided that they didn't want to be step parents to women that hadn't been married before. If the woman had been married before, I've seen a lot of men say that they would make exceptions. And I thought that was crazy too, because I'm like, it's some people just don't get married right off. And it just happened. And so a lot of interesting responses, a lot of interesting responses.
Gabe, I know you had something to say about Danielle's post. What were your responses to Danielle's post?
Well, first off, I don't feel like black men should be shamed or told that they should expect to be stepfathers. Everything Danielle just said, what confuses me the most is black women in particular tend to start thinking like this after they have the kids. They think about, well, my son needs a father in the home, or my daughter needs a father in the home after they have the children. They think that, it's better to raise my child in a two-parent household after they have the babies. They never think about this when they're out here having raw sex with all these dudes and thinking, I might should be responsible and
Wait a
truly
minute.
long
Wait a
term.
minute.
Hold on 1 second. They never think about this stuff when they're out here raw dog these dudes. That, hey, this guy might not stick around. As you guys know, when I'm on panels and when I'm on my own channel, what I tell a woman is the highest honor you can give a man is your womb, and you should not give him your womb raw until he puts his name on you. Until he gives you his last name, you shouldn't be out here having raw sex with random dudes and giving them children. I do not
So,
understand.
Gabe, you're a virgin?
No, I'm not saying I am a virgin. What I am saying,
You never had raw sex?
women, yeah, of course. But what I am saying is, women need to be more protective of themselves when it comes to something like that. I don't have any damn kids. That's my thing. I'm not gonna sit here and bring children into the world knowing that especially with somebody I don't see myself with. A lot of chicks have babies by dudes to intentionally trap them, and then they wonder
Oh my God.
why the dudes don't want to stay around. That's irresponsible. Women have all these forms of birth control, natural and otherwise, to prevent being.
Please don't bring up birth control. Don't do that.
Oh yeah, I am going to bring up birth control because
Don't do that.
it's
Don't
so
do that.
fun.
You know what happened when men, you know what happened when they propose birth control to men?
It
You
is
know what happened when they propose birth control to men?
so
Do you
funny
know what
that
happened?
women can think about all the responsible shit after the damn kids get here. That's what gets me more than anything. None of this shit crosses their mind while they're out here fucking.
Actually, that's very incorrect because the shit doesn't cross the man's mind either. No, because if a woman is having a child, if a woman has a child, the responsibility is definitely going to be on the woman. But no, the man is not thinking about a child either when he's nutting up inside of you. So don't put all that shit on the woman. Don't do
If a
that.
woman knows most of the responsibility is going to be on her, why does she not protect herself? You guys have more ways to protect yourselves than we do.
But y'all the main ones complaining when y'all get the child support court. Oh, we don't want to pay child support. Oh, they trying to take us off all our money. So if you don't want to pay child support, protect yourself. You know what's going to happen.
I'm not going to sit here and tell black men to sign up to be stepdads. And what really interests me the most is that we're the only community on the planet that have these conversations. Asians don't have these conversations, Hispanics, white folks. You want to know why? Because their women know their men are signing up to be stepfathers. Period. They understand that if they want a quality, decent man long term, they cannot bring children to them saying, hey, you got to take me as I am. We're the only community on the planet that shame our men and say, hey, you need to step up and handle my responsibility. We can't correct
Have
the
you
children.
not seen your community? Have you not seen your community? Have you not seen the state of black people? Have you looked at black people? Have you seen the statistics?
I have, of course. I'm well versed.
Okay, so if you've seen the statistics and you know if you're saying that most of these kids come from single parent homes and you know they come from single parent homes, why wouldn't a man say, you know what? I'm not saying I would tell you as a man to find the best woman that you can, but don't sit there and talk shit about single moms like single mom.
You want to know why we can talk shit about single moms? Because
I really don't. But go ahead.
Most black men are not single fathers. That's why. Period. Point blank. Most black men, and numbers prove this. Most black men are not single fathers.
It depends on what perspective that you're talking about from. It depends on what perspective you're talking about from.
I sit here and tell black men to, because you want to know something, a lot of the men that you want, you don't choose them beforehand. If you didn't have the bastard kids, you wouldn't be choosing them. That's what I tell brothers. Don't let these women sit here and bring you 2 and 3 kids talking about some, let's get together. You know,
So you think the majority, so do you think the majority of the women actually have more than 1 kid, more than 2 kids?
So I'm not going to sit here and tell brothers to, you know, play stepdaddy or second choice to these.
Why wouldn't you tell them to play stepdaddy if they ain't doing shit else? Most of these dudes that was on my page talking all that shit, most of them ain't got nobody in the first place. Half of them can't get no damn body.
Okay, they don't have anybody. All right, cool, fine. Why would I tell
But this is the crazy thing. This is the crazy thing. I looked at a lot of the guys on my page talking that shit. Half of them.
I want to answer that question. Why would I sit here and tell men to settle for women that would not choose them if it wasn't for the kid?
Let me tell you why you should tell them that. Because the cream of the crop women that these guys are wanting, they're not going to get in the first place. And we know that. We all know that.
They can still get a woman with no children.
According to y'all, no good women. This is the shit, because y'all talk out of both sides of y'all's asses. This is what y'all say. Okay. There are not that many good women. She's fat, she's overweight, she's not attractive, she has a bad attitude, she's this, she's that. Y'all saying that those women that have good attitudes are sweet, submissive, kind, educated, pretty, proper, has manners. Y'all are saying that those women are elite. Y'all are saying that those women are far and few in between. So I'm sitting here and I'm kind of looking at it, and I'm looking at the men. Wait, I'm not done. I'm looking at the men and I'm saying, like, how are these dudes thinking that they gonna get these kind of women when they ain't got the resources for one?
And that's guilt. That's shaming too. Oh, you ain't got
nobody. That's not shaming. That's real. That's real.
You ain't gonna get nobody no way, so accept me in my bag.
I'm not saying you ain't gonna get no. I would tell a guy to get the best woman he can, but half of them ain't gonna get that kind of woman. That's all I'm saying.
Over here, y'all want to come to these brothers with y'all. Y'all got 10, 15, 20 different men inside and out of y'all. And then when y'all want to settle down, their pussy ain't no good no more. Come over here and tell these dudes they have been withholding.
It'd be good because stepfathers didn't start. My stepfather comment didn't start from just me. It's been stepfathers for generations and generations, honey. It's been stepfathers for generations and generations, honey.
Okay, guys. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to understand. So, because your post said, Danielle, in order for Black men to take back control over their communities, they will have to be stepfathers. So, you don't think that
that's stupid
for Black men to take back control over their community other than being a stepfather?
Well, if we're looking at statistics and we're looking at mentorship programs, because I did hear a few people talk about mentorship programs, the mentorship programs might work. I feel like they do work in certain instances. But if we're actually talking about men being inside of the home, we need men inside of the homes. We need that.
Why didn't y'all think that?
No. Let me finish. Well, let me finish. I feel like with men taking back control of their communities, everybody has control of their every other race has control of their communities except for Black men. Except for Black men.
And they're not raising children that aren't their own. And I say that a guy that has friends in other communities, like when I tell them that we discuss shit like this in our communities, they laugh. Because it's not, they're not having these type of discussions because the women understand. If I get out here and I have a kid with somebody that I'm not married to, it's over for me. They understand.
I have white girlfriends who done had kids and have still gotten married to other white men, and they blended families. The Brady Bunch is a prime example. I've seen quite a few families blend families. Child, please.
That's not true.
So, hold on.
Please.
So I'm interested to hear what Curly has to say, because Curly's been rolling his eyes since he got on the panel. Curly, what do you want to chime in and tell us? What's your opinion on it?
Well, both of y'all have some points. Here's the thing. Like, to Gabe's point, the times have changed from what they used to be. Like these days, it's hard to convince a single fellow with no kids to step in and well, a single fellow with no kids that's worth his salt to step in and take care of a lady that has a couple of kids by a couple of different guys. Now, if she have one, he may make an exception. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not a huge burden to bear when you really look at it. But most single guys are not going to be willing to do that these days. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, to step back to the birth control thing, if they offered guys birth control, no one would ever have kids and this country would die out.
Curlin, the thing about it is they did offer men birth control. They did start a form of birth control for men. And you know what happened? The side effects were
went the way of the dodo. That's where it happened.
Yeah, because the side effects were so great. But this is the crazy thing. A man will sit up here and tell me how much shit I need to pump inside of my body. But when the option came down to them, men were like, hell no. Hell no.
Birth control, Danielle.
Say again?
Y'all have natural forms of birth control. It's so many options. If a woman don't want to get pregnant, birth control or not, she's not going to get pregnant. Y'all want to get pregnant.
Gabe, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
They want to have 2 and 3 kids.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. But like I said before, don't rush our asses down to child support to the child support office talking about she should have been on birth control when you had options to use condoms, this, that, and the third, or to remain abstinent. But anyway, that's not this post for that.
The point is, you said men need to play stepfathers. I don't give a fuck.
They do. They do. You know why? You know why they need to play stepfathers? You know why they need to play stepfathers? You know why they need to play stepfathers? You know why?
Single black
you know why?
No children, because most of us don't have children stepping up to play stepdaddy.
You know why y'all need to play stepdaddies? You know why? Do you know why? Do you know why y'all need to play stepdaddies, Gabe? Do you know why y'all need to play stepdaddies, Gabe? What are black people leading in? What are black men leading in?
What does it matter? That's the problem.
It matters.
No standards.
Well, honey, if you don't care about the state of your community and the state of your people, then I don't really know why we even talking.
Have certain things. Black men do not require our women to be in shape. We don't require them not to have kids when they come to us. So we need to start to develop certain standards. Other groups have standards for their women. That's why they're not having this conversation in their circles tonight. And we are, because black men settle for so much shit. I'm not going to sit here and tell young black men to settle for single moms that have
there is settling.
And once they're done giving their bodies to the community, they want to come over here and settle down with you. That is the epitome of simp behavior in our world.
How is it simp behavior for a man to get with a woman? She may have one kid, but you can't sit up here and say that all stepdaddies are simps. I'm going to tell you what a simp is. If a simp is a man that allows a woman to disrespect and run all over him, that's not a simp. That's a man. Don't say that stepdaddies are simps. A simp is not a stepdaddy.
Most of them are.
No, they're not. No, they're not. The ones
that don't have kids.
Yo, can I finish my point?
Curly has a point. Let Curly make his point, guys.
Good grief.
Yeah, they can. Even Danielle need to get a room. They can.
Big Daddy don't want none of this. He know what's up.
Y'all step in there like fucking Tyson and Mayweather or some shit. Like, damn.
Baby.
but yo, man, y'all touched on so much. I forgot exactly where the hell I was about to go. But one thing for sure though, if you want some real knowledge with stats and numbers on this shit, then you really need to go listen to BGS, because he got all the numbers, all the game, and it's real shit. Like, as far as the settling thing, truth be told, black men don't really have a standard when you compare us to other communities in this country. Well, I would say, and if we do have standards, they're much, much lower than other communities. Like the bar is low. Hell, even Nicole says that. The only thing you really have to do is be sweet and feminine, and hell, be nice to her brother, and you can cap him right there. It's that easy. You know what I mean? Now, as far as bringing kids into the situation, now if a guy has kids and a woman have kids, then that is different than what Gabe is speaking on about the 42% of single black men that don't have any kids and asking them to step into a situation where the woman has multiple. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, the way I see it is I have one, and if she has one, then even swap ain't no swindle. You know what I mean? Now, if she has two, I'm going to be less likely to be like, okay, am I willing to take this on? Because that's 3 more mouths to feed instead of just, you know, 2 more besides my own. You know, now to ask somebody like Gabe to step into that same equation, he doesn't have any kids, and he's younger than I am. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be likely to step up to the plate and be willing to do that like the guys his age, say 20 years ago. You see what I'm saying?
And
I understand that.
The funny thing about that is that most single moms don't like single fathers. You can go on your social media page and see that. Oh, I don't want no man with no kids. I don't want to deal with baby mama drama. They'll tell you that. And they don't sit up here and been fucking all 20s. They all through their 20s and got all these damn kids, and they'll sit here and come in your face and say, I'm not going to date single fathers. They'll tell you that.
Yeah, I've gotten that before.
So I want to hear from Paradox Report. So what do you think about this subject? Do you think that black men have to be stepfathers in order to take back their community? You have to unmute your mic. I also have Bobby on here. Bobby, do you want to tell us what you think about this subject? I think Paradox is trying to get her system together.
Yeah, absolutely. So, can I be heard?
Yeah.
Yeah, you good.
Okay, cool. So I did catch the original post when Danielle posted. I believe it was Marisol who went ahead and tagged me in it. Appreciate that. And I'll reiterate my points on that for the most part. With all due respect, because Danielle's always been really cool, really respectful. So I don't mean any disrespect or anything, just get out of the way. But I really think that's absolutely silly. When you talk about stepfathering, or at least the purpose of why you'd want a stepfather in the home for your child, what you're basically saying is you want an in-house role model, more or less, or an in-house mentor. You want somebody who's going to be inside the household demonstrating for your child, your son or your daughter, because both require the presence of a man. They need that masculine influence in their lives. But you're basically saying, I want this person to give my children a proper demonstration, an example of what manhood and masculinity is. I want my son or sons to look at this man and say, okay, this is someone who I want to emulate. I want to be like this person. You want your daughters to be able to look at this man and say that, okay, I want hopefully my future husband to be someone like this man. I want this example to be who's going to be in my life and to be the father of my own children later on in the future. And so that's important. However, although in-house is best, you don't necessarily need to be inside the household to be a mentor or a role model. You know, you can have someone who comes around and spends time, and an example that would be like the Big Brothers Big Sister type program, where you have someone who's dedicating or taking interest in your child, taking them out a couple of days of the week, spending time with them, really building that appropriate bond and that relationship where they know they can come to this person and turn to them. And you have all kind of stories where these kind of relationships happen all the time, and they're very beneficial. You hear like pro athletes or different successful people talk about the mentors they've had and the huge impact they've had in their lives. So this is something that happens already, and it's making a huge market impact in the lives of those individuals. For the most part, it basically sounds like the women really want someone not just who's going to be there for the kids, but that's going to be there for them. And I think,
Because the
go
likelihood
ahead.
of a child turning out better is 90% greater with a man being in the house.
And you should have thought of that before you let that nigga nut in.
Well, woulda, shoulda, coulda, didn't happen. Now
You
what?
should have thought of that before you let the
Shoulda,
nigga.
woulda, coulda, didn't do it. Now what?
You didn't do it. And you
Hold on,
suffered.
guys. I want to.
You
Here's the
suffered
here's the thing
consequences.
about that though. Wait, here's the thing about that. There's a saying, and I'm hoping I don't butcher it, but the saying goes that the hands that made the problem cannot be the ones to fix the problem. And what I mean by that is you have to take a look at who's being asked to replace, because many of the really good solid men, and I don't mean the whiners, the ones who really don't have any options, they don't have anything going for themselves, who will complain about talking about how, oh, when I was younger, these kind of women bypassed me, they didn't take an interest in me. You've got the losers that are saying that too. But the reality is you also have some solid brothers who are doing well for themselves, who are good quality men, who also have those same stories. They're just not going to bitch and whine and complain about them like the other dudes do because they have options now. But if the women who have made these mistakes, and I don't mean the ones who made genuine mistakes, they had some real legitimate circumstances, I talk about the reckless ones. If these women now couldn't be trusted to make intelligent choices when they first had the second go round, what is the indication they're going to make the same mistakes the next time? Because a
Let
lot
me
of women, if they have multiple baby fathers, oftentimes these dudes are really just clones and mirror images of each other. You don't really see a progression a lot of times. It's not like they started out with a Future type dude, and then the second dude off the bat was a Russell Wilson type guy. Usually it's Future, then it's past, and then it's present, and there's not so distant future. Usually these niggas could almost, play cross dress or whatever with each other. So that's
So
an issue.
would we say as a community that most baby mamas have multiple baby daddies? Because if we're saying that, I would say that that's total bullshit.
Well, most black women are single moms. Numbers
It
prove
At
does-
it.
least
okay,
two.
but let
At
me say
least
this.
two.
Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Because I looked into this earlier today. I looked into it over the week. I noticed that even if the man is in house, that woman is still counted as a single mom.
Right.
I argued with somebody on my page. They said that the woman was their fiance. She has 2 kids by him. He still hadn't married her. He argued me down that wasn't considered a single mom. According to statistics, that she's a single mom. I have people who tell me that their fathers are in their kids' lives. That woman is still considered a single mom if she's not married. And so I kind of feel like in a certain sense that the statistics can be a little or a little messed up, because we're saying, okay, they're not married, so she's a single mom, when in fact the father is present and is in the child's life. So I was thinking about that too.
And that's a good point.
Good point.
Frank, what would you like to chime in on and say about this discussion so far?
All right. First and foremost, I just want to say good evening to everybody. So obviously I read the post. I disagree with it wholeheartedly, like the majority of people in here. But I just had a few questions. Well, 2 to start off. One, the first question is, what do you mean by when you say play stepdaddy? Because in my opinion, to play is to do something leisurely
Frank,
and
you're going in and out, darling.
casually without any structure or purpose.
Your signal's going in and out.
My first.
Well,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. My first question is, what do you mean by when you say play? Because to play,
You're going in and out.
in my opinion, is to do something without any type
The
of
single
purpose.
moms are taking your
There's no
phone,
structure or
Frank.
purpose behind it.
They don't hear what you gotta
The
say.
single moms are like, fuck this shit. We finna.
It's a revolt.
Yeah,
It's an
Frank,
uprising.
you borging like you have low signal, fam.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How about now?
You should be good, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, okay. So my first question is this.
Oh Lord.
What do you mean by when you say play stepdad? Because to me, playing something is not doing it with any type of structure or true purpose. It's just I'm doing it just to be doing it. That's my first question. And number two, you're saying that in order for Black men to take back our communities, we have to do this. What role is what responsibility does the Black woman take in keeping our community together? And what incentive does a brother have by basically saving this woman or saving these women?
Now, Frank, you know Black women dodge responsibility and accountability like Mayweather on Fight Night.
Child, please. Not when Black women trying to get their education and starting the most businesses and doing the damn thing in our communities. Don't start that shit. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay, hold on, guys.
Hold on.
Women are allergic to
first of all,
damn responsibility and accountability like niggas are allergic to peanuts and shit.
Hold on. I want to go back to Paradox Report because we didn't get to hear what she had to say about this, and then we can go back to Frank.
I want to know about this damn responsibility, Danielle.
Paradox Report, what?
I got your ass, Gabe. I got you. Hey, Paradox.
Hey, panel. Hey, everybody. So, I'm a little disappointed in the phrasing of the question. Because like Gabe said, there has to be some sort of responsibility. And when I sincerely think about it, it's like, why, not even why, but we need to be putting ourselves first. Why would we give access to the womb to just anyone?
Hey, Eric.
About it.
Mute your mic.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah,
mute your mic, honey.
And
how y'all doing?
Mayor Saint, you can mute people. If anybody forgets to mute or they don't know how to mute, you can do that. Just so you know.
Done.
Go ahead, Paradox Report. I want to hear what she has to say.
Yeah. So what I was saying is to give access to the womb and then complain after. Now it's one thing. I got pregnant at 17. Okay. I had already had a warped sense the way I was thinking. And I can look back and see that. But we really have to, like Gabe said, take responsibility. But I'm also going to say this. Because the way the question is worded, I'm just sort of like play stepdaddy. That's nothing to be played with. And I think we have to watch how we're treating ourselves, how we're treating men, how we're speaking to men, because when you are a single mother, there is a tendency to be more masculine, more harsh, because now you're taking on two different roles. So I think that sometimes it slips the mind, or just a matter of frustration when we are talking to men. We're not being soft, and they don't have to deal. Now, the other side of that coin.
Can y'all hear me?
The other side.
Yo, son.
Gabe, you ain't shit.
Go, keep going.
I got a short-term memory. But the other side of that coin is this, that, I see Gabe is getting frustrated. Now, I love Gabe's angle all day. I think we have to remember, too, because let me watch what I'm saying. We have to address each other with a little more respect when it comes to this topic. Because like Gabe said, we are the only ones having this conversation. And yes, this goes back to the way we have been treated, being prisoners of war, etc. However, we have to be mindful that there are people watching, there are people listening, and we have been in a perpetual state of I don't even know what to call it. Just it's tragic. So
and hey, listen, and I can admit that maybe
that's an excuse.
Is a little harsh, but the grease is hot tonight, and I'm putting Danielle in the grease. I done floured her up. I got my egg butter.
You ain't frying nobody up.
Put her in the grease. Oh, let's go. I should be nicer with my approach, but tonight I will not be.
You don't have to be nicer. You don't have to be nicer, because I see what stirred you up. I mean, like, that's just me. But I want to ask this, and I hope I'm not being too personal, because I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just really want to get an understanding. If you don't mind, Danielle, were you raised by both parents in the home, or?
Okay. I was actually initially I was raised by just my mom. Then I was raised by my grandmother and grandfather. And then I was raised by my mother and stepfather.
Okay.
So for the majority of my years that I was in my home, I was in a two-parent household.
Okay.
The way I worded it,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like with my friends on Facebook. Like I've been in several Facebook groups. I troll a lot, or I used to troll a lot,
Yeah.
so I know what kind of steers people up. So, play stepdaddy was actually a play on words, but
Oh, okay.
I know what gets to people. So,
Okay, no, that okay because it just.
Oh, but she meant it to her heart. Don't get her. Don't get it wrong. She
how
meant
you
it.
gonna tell me?
Most black men are gonna have to be stepfathers. That's what.
Well, I do. I really feel like most black men, or a lot of black men, I feel like in order, because I'm looking at the kids down the line. Frank, I really didn't hear your question, so I'm not gonna say I can answer it fully. But I kind of thought about it like.
I'll ask it again. So you can
Frank, they got on your ass today.
Single moms are done.
Oh,
I just sent the mafia after you, Frank. You gonna have to. They own you.
It's all good. I'm not worried about nothing. Nobody. My question was
Frank.
Frank,
They are on you today, honey, because you are going in and out bad.
All the hood rats said they're gonna sabotage your Cricket and your Boost Mobile.
Don't be calling single moms to a rat, Bobby. Don't do that.
I mean, if the shoe fits. I mean, you call.
Don't start no shit, Gabe.
The shoe fits.
But I'll say this. I realized, and I think I said this the last show. Like, see, I'm not bothered by those comments and everything because the key to this life really is growth. Like, when you know better, you do better. And we really don't have time to keep entertaining the foolishness. We need to be raising each other up. We have to make better decisions.
Right.
And you know what? It is about community. And, unfortunately, a lot of the time, okay, my son was going to a homeschool situation where there's an actual community center, if you will, built in a home. And this gentleman actually, he's hood first. So he takes in a lot of the kids within the neighborhood. But you also have a lot of backlash. Like they're going to tell him at the end of the day, because my son has, when he's checked him on certain things, that you're not my father.
You're not my father. And we want to sit here and
the infamous storyline.
My whole thing is this with that. And I'm going to shut my mouth after that. My whole thing is this. Yes, there are men who are willing to do that, but it really does fall back on the woman. You have to have a solid man. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get a solid man after you've made that decision. You just made it harder for yourself, like referring to what Gabe said earlier. Other races already know not to put themselves out there like that, to go ahead and have a baby and then, expect, some sort of grandiose affair after that. But if you want a man in the house, there's a way we have to carry ourselves. There's a certain tone we need to have with men. You have to be quite an impeccable woman in order to pull that after you've made these decisions.
But let me ask y'all this. Okay, with having other men in the house that's not the child's father, I kind of feel like my mom respected my stepfather. So I had to but my mom didn't allow me to just talk to my stepfather any old type of way or treat my stepfather any old type of way. I had to have some respect for him. So I kind of look at it like now real simp would be a guy that would take on somebody else's kids and everybody's disrespecting him while he's paying the bills. Now I feel like that would be a simp. But if
let me ask you a question, Danielle, just touching on that. Based on what you just said, what all would you define or what all would go into the definition of disrespect?
Okay. If the stepfather tells the child to do something and the child tells the stepfather, you're not my dad, you're not my father, that would be disrespectful to me. Basically a child being disobedient.
Where did he get that from?
Most of them kids do that, but go ahead.
Well,
did he get it from?
then this is how I look at it. If he got with a woman and a woman was allowing this, then that woman doesn't respect him in the first place. Because my child don't run shit at my house. My child don't run shit at my house. So if I tell my child this is the man,
don't respect stepfathers. That's why I call them simps.
I don't believe that. I don't think that's to be true. Show me some stats on that. I've never even heard of that.
Well,
I don't believe that.
In that situation,
there's a lot of truth to that, though. There is a lot of truth to that.
Show me some
However,
stats.
whether or not, I mean, that's for the most part probably going to be, I wouldn't say highly accurate, because that's not anything that's empirical where you could say it's either a yay or a nay. It would be, how do you feel?
Why are we making all bullshit and calling it facts?
It's not bullshit.
But see, but here's the thing, though. Here's what is facts, though. Here's what is facts.
Single mom. And
the way a child,
when her son was doing something he had no business, I tried to correct him. Oh, you not his daddy, or you ain't my daddy.
Well, she didn't respect you, honey. She didn't respect you. She thought you was a simp. She thought you was a simp.
Hold on.
The reason I asked how do you define respect or disrespect in that case, Danielle, is because I think oftentimes when we talk about disrespecting each other, especially in that regards, we talk about the open, obvious, and blatant stuff like, you know, just letting the kids do and say whatever, or she just says and does whatever to the man in front of his parents' presence. And that's obvious disrespect. That's easy to point out. But kids are very sensitive and very subconsciously aware. They pick up on things, good and bad, that sometimes we're not even aware of. I know personally, and I'm sure we all can testify to that, certain events that maybe happened to us way back in the day, we still remember, or maybe they even influence in certain ways. A woman doesn't always have to be flat out disrespectful or cussing out a man. Sometimes it can be something as subtle as just talking over him.
Yes.
He's trying to make a point and she just cuts him or undercuts him, or he says something to make a point to the child. And right there, sometimes even in front of the child's presence, she basically cuts his legs out from under him. And so the child isn't hearing anything outright, but the child is seeing basically, okay, mom is the one who runs this. Yep, or even the classic case of, and kids will do this with their own biological parents too, where they go to maybe the step parent or whatever, they ask, can I do this or can I have this? They say no. They go to mom or dad. Then they go ahead and just get the permission to do it, and that completely cuts the other parent out. That's an issue that biological parents have. And it's a whole lot worse when you bring step parents into the equation.
Yeah, so I've seen that and lived it. So that's definitely true.
Look at the dynamics of the relationship. Okay, let's say for the most part, when you're talking about, you know, bringing a man into, you have a child, you're a single parent, you bringing a guy in. The conversation that we're having is kind of subconsciously understood that this man is coming over there. Okay, so it's not like you and your kid are moving in with him. You know what I'm saying? In a place where he owns, he controls, he's the king of that. You understand what I'm saying? So you're asking a man to basically come in with you to a house that's really not, a situation that's really not his, and you're going to give him some.
Honestly, I don't feel like a man should move in with a woman in the first place. I would totally disagree with a man moving in with a woman in the first place. That's just bad business all around.
So you're saying, all right, let me ask this. So you're saying a masculine man of means who has his stuff together, who has no children, who's doing everything that he's supposed to do as a man. He's supposed to save the community by getting with a woman that has another man's seed, and moving them into his house and playing stepdad.
I'm saying that they can possibly get a house together. I did not specify, and this is the funny thing. I said a lot of you will have to play stepdaddies. There are quite a few fathers that are not in the house with their own children. A lot of ladies brought up the point that a lot of men don't even live with their own damn children. So, but what I would suggest in that situation, I would suggest that these people get a place together, because when you move into somebody else's shit, it always feels like you're violating somebody else's space and yada, yada, yada. So of the sorts. But I feel like they should get a place together. I don't feel like this is my whole thing with the single man with no kids. If you a single man with no kids and you got your shit together, be the best man you can be. Get the best woman you can get.
Right.
I encourage that. I absolutely encourage that. But don't sit up here and talk out the sides of y'all's asses and say, well, these types of women, submissive, quiet, beautiful, in shape, these women don't hardly exist in our community. According to a lot of y'all say these types of women don't exist. But then if a single mom is in shape, beautiful, submissive, quiet, oh, fuck her. She ain't shit either. Like, really?
Absolutely. You avoid her.
That is not correct.
Okay, guys, hold on. Eric has a question he wanted to propose to the panel. Go ahead, Eric.
Mayor Saint, unmute his line.
Do I have him muted? Hold on.
You got him muted, Mayor
Oh, he
Saint.
has himself muted. I don't have him muted.
Unmute him. You can do
He
that.
has himself muted. I don't have him muted.
Just unmute him. You can unmute him.
It's not letting me.
Hi.
Hit the unmute button.
It's not letting me. I'm telling you, I don't have him muted.
No. Is he trying to mute? Is he trying to unmute at the same time? Because maybe it's canceling out or something.
Okay, unmute yourself. Somebody in the comments said some of this sounds like people want these stepfathers to be parole officers more than role models.
That's actually an interesting point. And that actually reminds me of something I read a little while ago, probably about 7 to 9 months ago. It was an editorial from, I want to say the New York Times. I could be mistaken. I probably am. But it was a black man particularly. He was writing about being a teacher in the public school system wherever he was. And he was from an inner city area, it was a major city, a lot of black students in the school, predominantly black school. And he was talking about some of the things he has to deal with as being a teacher, or one of the few, if only, male teachers in a school with predominantly women, usually white women, what have you. And he was talking about how he usually gets so much praise and how he gets so much, admiration from people. Wow, you're a teacher. It's important. Our kids need to have more male teachers. They need to see more black male teachers in the school. And he was definitely given that props to say it was important. He said, however, one of the things that he and other black male teachers have experienced is that when they're in the schools, usually, even if it's not stated expressly, what's almost indicated in the things that they're presented with by the staff or the administration is that it almost seems that they want them to be in that same capacity that he mentioned as the parole officer, where they don't want to just be a regular teacher the way they want others. Yeah. They want them to be the chief disciplinary. They want them to be the bad cop, so to speak, where I want you to lay down the law, give them the bass in your voice. Don't be the warm, kind, and compassionate teacher as much as we need you to be that strong right hand. And he said that that was very difficult for him because sometimes it made it hard for his students to see him the same way they saw their other teachers. And I can imagine that definitely plays out in the home as well, too. I doubt that's just limited to the workplace if you work with kids. I'm sure it also applies to the home as well.
So there's a moron in the chat. Melanated thoughts.
Bruh, I was just about to address that shit. My blood pressure's up.
Talk to my kids. Well, let me address you, dumbass. Boy, that's why I tell women. That's why I tell men to avoid single moms. Right there, they my kids, not yours.
Right. See, this right here touches on exactly what Bobby was speaking on earlier about when the child does something out of pocket and he corrects him as he should because he's an adult. Then you take issue with him, sometimes in front of the child, and then the child picks up on that, and that undermines his authority altogether. That is a problem.
Melanated Thoughts is a troll. I'm very familiar with her. She's always in any panel I'm on, I see her, so she's a troll. That's why I'm addressing her the way I am. She's a troll.
Allow him to talk to me like that? You're goddamn right I'm going to talk to you like that because what you're saying is fucked up.
Yeah. And that's a troll, whatever to her. But that
Anywho,
I got that off my
But
chest.
see,
Now,
but no, but that really is a big problem, though. And I'll give you an example of why that's a problem. This whole mindset where my kids have a higher rank than you. First and foremost, ain't no man with half a grain of sense is going to tolerate that at all.
Exactly.
So you
Especially a
don't
black man.
feel
We got
like
to go out
these
in the
things
world
can
and
be, Bobby, you don't feel like these things can be established before the men were in their home? Because let me give y'all a prime example. Me and my stepfather had got into it about something, and I felt like I was right. My mom felt like I was right. You know what my mom said? Well, you don't pay no bills here. And it wasn't anything that was a big deal, but my mom was like, you don't pay any bills here. That's my husband. My husband comes before you in this household.
Your mom.
And my mom was absolutely correct. Now, I didn't understand it until I got older, but my mom was absolutely correct. And I respect it now, but I didn't respect it back then, you know.
Danielle,
But
now, hold on, Gabe. Now, that situation is described. Was that between your mom and your biological father or your stepfather?
my stepfather.
And see that right there, and I'm not disrespecting you, but I'm not knocking that either. That's one of the issues that happens in those households as well.
Wait a minute, Bobby. First of all, disagreements happen in every household. The second, I wasn't disrespectful toward my stepfather. Third,
No. I didn't say you were. I didn't mean to suggest that you were. What I'm saying is, usually when you have those kind of situations where the mother and your mom played it exactly by the book, that's how it's supposed to be done. Hats off to her. It's not too common you get that. One of the issues you have, though, is when that situation happens where the wife gives the deference to the husband, it's accepted pretty well if it's between the biological parents. But usually when this child knows that this isn't my actual daddy, and they see their mom putting their stepfather ahead of them, they don't take it the same as, well, that's my father. That's the man who gave me life. They look at it. The thing about it is,
the difference is, I felt loved by my stepfather. I felt loved. Let Eric talk, y'all. What's up, Eric?
Yeah.
I just want to know. I just got one question. I just want to know, why can't people be mature enough to actually work things out to raise the kids that they made? Like, why I gotta raise your kids when you were grown enough to lay down and have them motherfuckers yourself? I shouldn't have to do that.
Danielle said she need help, so.
well, let me say this. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. I was 32 when I had my son.
Danielle, I just don't know why you couldn't wait to have the kids till you got married. I just really want to know.
Well, I explained this on quite a few panels.
Y'all got married. Y'all playing Russian roulette with your pussy and then get mad when the kids get here. I just need an answer to that. Please answer.
Let me please break this all the way down for you so it will forever be broke. Let me tell you this.
What's up with all this community shit now that is, on the back end?
No, it ain't no community shit now.
Thinking about the community when they ran out.
Wait a minute. Let me get y'all ass. First of all,
and they ready to square up in the game.
First of all, I was 32 when I had my child. That's first of all. So when I was with my son's father, I was told at one point during our relationship that I was not able to have kids.
I know the game. I know.
No. It's not a game. It's not a game. Let me finish. You asked me, so I'm going to give it to your ass. You asked me, so I'm going to give it to you. You asked me, so I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
So when I was told that I was not having, now my son's father was present during this whole entire thing, so it wasn't no bullshit, it wasn't no lies, it wasn't none of that shit going on. I got pregnant.
They can risk it all. Like it don't.
It wasn't shit to risk. What was there to risk if he knew what the doctor said and he was present during this time frame? What is there to risk if I was told I couldn't have a child? My child was a miracle.
I didn't know I could get pregnant, but go ahead.
No. I have doctor's paperwork telling me that I could not get pregnant because my son was my first pregnancy. No abortions, no miscarriages prior. My son was my first pregnancy. I was told that I could not get pregnant prior to my son. When I got pregnant, me and my son's father decided to have the child. Now, when we had the child, we did talk about marriage at some point. We did. It ain't my fault that motherfucker ended up being crazy, but that's a different story. I want to talk
You
about
didn't
him like
talk
that.
about it before.
He don't
We
get
did. We did. We had a lot of plans before, but children change shit.
Yeah,
Children change things.
Wow.
But the
So
difference
what you're
between
saying is the
me,
coupe we drove him
but the
nuts.
difference is,
Nah.
the difference is, the difference is my son's father is very present in his life. Don't get me wrong. I feel like my son is having a very good upbringing. My son is an honor roll student. My son doesn't have behavioral issues.
So you
My
don't need a
son is
stepdaddy.
an excellent kid. So, you know, my son does receive a lot of love from his father. He has a very great relationship with his father. His father is very present in his life. I didn't get pregnant by a Pookie or Ray Ray or a nigga off the corner. I got pregnant by a nigga with a master's degree. So in his own business at the time, plus he was working. So it wasn't like I went off and got a nigga on the corner and was like, yeah, I'm gonna make a baby. What was a random ass nigga. So nah, don't play me like that. But okay. I had my baby. I wasn't gonna abort my baby.
Hold on. Paradise Report. What would you like to join?
No, because I have male children, right? And I don't know how old you are, Miss Danielle, but is your son a teenager as of yet?
No, my son is only 7 years old, honey.
It's a huge difference. Once the boys come about 12 and they start learning their own strength and they see now, not all children.
I'm probably gonna send him to live with his father though. That's gonna probably be the difference.
Yeah, it does kind of come to not with all children though, because my kids are like night and day. I have one that is a challenge and then the other one who's just laid back. But now, when you say he spends a lot of time with his father, if his father is not mentally stable, as you said, he's crazy.
Child, not in a relationship, but he loves the shit out of our son. He is a great father to his son, but relationship wise between he and I, it was just one of those things that just didn't work out.
Yeah, because it's important.
Where does the stepdaddy come in with that?
It's important to know what kind of environment our children are in, because I didn't realize for a long time that certain things were being said when one of my kids would be at their father's house, and then you got to kind of cut ties. But I mean, I wish you nothing but the best, but just be very mindful that the male child does need an even balance, and he needs to see their parents respecting each other. And I know that seems like okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree.
But I mean, because I'm living it out now, and I'm just saying. I mean, it depends on where you live as well. But I'm just saying, we just got to take things a little more seriously.
We have a great relationship. Well, yeah, we have a pretty good relationship at this point. We don't really argue or fuss about anything. Everything is pretty much on the up and up with us, with our co-parenting situation.
You don't need a stepfather. That's great. You don't need a stepfather then, right?
No, I talk a lot of shit, but no, my son is actually great. But then at the same token, I'm not impoverished either. I make a decent amount of money. Child support. We weren't on no bullshit when we had our baby. So that does make a difference. And I'll say that does actually make a difference.
Y'all should get back together then.
No, his dad is married. No.
Oh.
And hell no.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've broken that down on Nicole's panel all the time.
I mean, I can't really talk but one thing I know about myself is that, when I'm checked, nobody really likes to be checked. Nobody really likes to be told about themselves. But, I kind of I try to see okay, I need to adjust. You know what? Maybe I'm kind of quick to flip with certain things, but I mean well. But it's being conscious of it, like what the gentleman said. One of the other gentlemen on the panel said, because I know that somewhere in this discussion I overtalked one of the gentlemen. I'm trying to adjust. I need to adjust. I'm mindful of that. It is rude and it is a sign of disrespect when we do that. So.
Danielle, did you hear that?
Nope.
Yeah, you heard she.
I heard Melanie. Excuse me. I heard Paradox Report. I think Paradox Report is absolutely correct. If it was I'll just say we just didn't work out. I'm not mad. I'm not bitter. I wish my son's father nothing but the best. I wish him and his wife nothing but the best. I think they are great. I think she's a great person. I think they make a much better couple. That's all I have to say.
You didn't hear nothing. Don't over talk.
No, because I feel like Everybody's not for everybody.
Okay. All right.
Everybody's not for everybody. Do I wish I had been married and brought my son up in a 2-parent household? Absolutely. I wouldn't sit up here and lie to y'all and tell y'all don't wish I had brought my son up in a 2-parent household. Did it happen? No, it didn't. Are we okay? Yes, we are. But everybody isn't for everybody. But I do have a wonderful child out of that. So I'm not regretful of my relationship. And like I said, I don't wish him anything but the best.
Me and Danielle clash. It's all in love. She loves daddy. But anyway.
Whatever.
I love daddy. Word up.
You know I'm daddy. Danielle know I'm daddy. Like,
love daddy.
Come on now.
You know
he used to be daddy. He ain't daddy tonight.
Oh my God. Okay, guys. Okay. So
no, Danielle is a good mom, though. I will give her that. She is an excellent mom. I know Danielle personally. She is a good mom. So I'll give her that. But am I getting down with this stepdaddy comment? No. Absolutely not. But she's an excellent mom.
So what I want to kind of swing things a little bit to another way. In light of the recent tragedy that happened 2 days ago with Nipsey Hussle, considering the fact that we are talking about the Black community and how Black men can take control back of their communities, do you think that in light of what happened to him, that is something that is, I don't know how to say this, a good idea for us? Because as we can see, we can go into these communities and try to rebuild and everything, but we still end up getting shot down by our own peoples.
Well, I have something to say about that, because I don't like that narrative, because, if you do a little bit of research, you will see Nipsey was on some shit. He was already getting 6 figures a month in royalties from his, I have it here. I'll come back to from TuneCore. Okay, so he was getting royalty checks in the low 6 figures. So when he was getting these deals from these other record labels, he was shooting them down. And then in a Forbes article, I think it was from 2018, he stated that he finally got a partnership with Atlantic. Now, where basically he said something about them going half. He said that the prior record labels had wanted a portion of what businesses he already had started, right? And if you don't know, from my research, I see that he has a branding, marketing, and media agency, the real estate, the clothing line, and all these things. But I'm saying all that to say that why are we looking automatically? Yeah, there's haters within the hood, but the bigger picture is this: he was making moves. So, we can't just be so quick to say that. Yeah, that might have been a hired hitman, but you think that Atlantic Records? Look at how they control. They're controlled. They're white men, Jewish men who are eating off of our plates all the time. And then they get Nipsey into that deal. And then what? A year and a half later, I don't know how long he had that deal, but I know that they think they only produced that last album that he had. And so the Victory Lap. So, we can't just be so quick to blame it on our community when the bigger picture is he was making serious moves. And if you take a look at that Forbes article, you'll see exactly what I'm saying.
What I'm saying, his friends and his family have come out, and they've already said that this was a personal issue and there wasn't any conspiracy to it. So
have they said that?
They said that.
Who's they?
His close friends and his family have said that.
I'll believe that when I see it.
It's still a lot of undertones. It's still a lot of undertones to it. First off, like the guy who allegedly, shot him and murdered him is a known informant. You know what I mean? Which means that he has some ties to, law enforcement or the government, on whatever level that is. So
wait a minute, say that again at the beginning, Frank, because you broke up a little bit. I wanted to hear what you were saying. I
said that the man who was arrested, who allegedly did the shooting, is a known informant. It's known, it's well documented that he's an informant. So, what that basically means is that he has some ties to law enforcement, which is the government, on whatever level you think, whether it's local, state, federal. So he has ties to, the powers that be that can, move and shake. But I think with Nipsey, the problem is, and I do like to bring it back home to our community, because I feel like it does start with us. I think the problem that we have is that we it's not enough of us making these moves, and we look at certain guys and we lift them up to be slaughtered. We fatten them up to get slaughtered. So Nipsey was making a lot of moves. A lot of us know that we need to invest in Black businesses. We need to, have a code of conduct amongst ourselves, but we don't do it collectively as a group. So you have a few isolated people who will do it, and you prop them up, whoever they may be. So, like, for example, you have Nicole Michelle, who's doing the inner beauty movement and all of that. There are a lot of people who support what she's doing, but a lot of people will sit there and kind of let her elevate to a certain level and sit back. And then when she gets attacked, they'll sit back and act like they don't know what's going on. When if you have the same understanding and you support what this person is doing, you need to do it everywhere. There should be a
Frank. They are on
neighborhood.
you again, baby.
Ooh, child.
I can hear him. Fine.
Really?
I got most of what he was saying. It was a little choppy, but I got the gist of it.
Trying their best, honey, to hold you back, Frank.
No, I don't get okay. The bill is paid, so I'm not. I don't know.
Them single moms is on your ass tonight, though, Frank. We on you. We're sick of this shit.
You put Frank. They ain't having it.
No, but I definitely agree with that sentiment. It's been a big issue that I've personally been discussing in my circles and conversations, where you got too many times people want to see the rest of us. They want to see one individual person go out on a limb, and that's all cool. But the problem is, though, nobody else want to come on the limb with them, and that's a huge thing that Black people as a collective have to get over. Where we're always looking for a leader. We want someone to be at the forefront of the movement. We need to develop a code of conduct where that agenda is the leader. You look at organizations, and I'm just looking at this purely from an academic standpoint. I'm not advocating anything of the sort, but if you look at terrorist group like Al Qaeda, for example, and ISIS and those groups, the reason why I wouldn't necessarily say that they're effective, but they've been so difficult for other countries, even world powers like America and Britain and France, to be able to put down, is because they have all these cells. They all operate based on the same ideology. You might have an Osama bin Laden or whatever, but you pop him and you get a figurehead, but you got 3, 4, 5, 8, 10 more Osama bin Ladens that pop up because they all have the same idea. They know what it's going to take to move towards the goal for them. And so they don't need someone to give them the marching orders. They know what needs to be done to further the goal. And so they just do it. And, when you get to that point, you're not fighting individuals. You're fighting against an ideology. You're fighting against an idea. And you cannot beat an idea.
That's a great point. Let me ask you guys this. I don't know if Maricine kind of worded it like this, but let me just ask anyway. Do you think it was a conspiracy, or do you think it was gang violence? I'll start with you, Curlin. Okay. Paradox report. Do you think it was oh, there you go.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Paradox. I'll fall after you.
Absolutely, hands down, end of story. And it's pretty plain to see
that it was what, a conspiracy or gang violence?
When you do a little bit of research and you see he was getting it before, he was shutting down deals. You really think that these people who have controlled the music industry for all these years, that they want to see that happen, and then they get in a partnership with him, and now they have access to what all these other record companies could not get? It's definitely a conspiracy. And then one of the gentlemen had just mentioned that this person who they are saying allegedly killed him is a known informant. That's it. That if the shoe fits.
So, do you guys really think that a lot of males are gonna watch the Dr. Sebi documentary?
Of course, at this point.
I don't agree that it was. I think that he got into an argument with some guy from his neighborhood who is literally off his rockers, and he came back and shot him. This is something that we see in most inner cities. It's not uncommon. It's not outrageous. I don't think that there's this conspiracy to come and get him and lay him down. I don't, because it, to me, I just think that a lot of people are so hell bent on conspiracies that we kind of miss what is actually there in front of us.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It could be all of the above.
It's a little bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, think about it. I was listening to Tariq earlier, and he was saying that like out of the blue, that there was a lady that asked him to take a picture with his son, but she didn't step in the picture. You know, and which is kind of odd because he's a celebrity. Like, typically, most chicks want to get a picture with a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? And then not long after, dude shows up and shoots him dead. Now, when dude escaped, there was an unknown woman driving the getaway car.
Oh, wow.
Now, what we don't know is whether it's the same woman. I mean, it kind of sounds like there's an off-shot chance that she was marking him by saying, "This the nigga you need to go shoot."
Exactly.
I mean, we don't know. Now, for the Dr. Sebi stuff, I mean, one could also make your argument that Big Pharma did not want any of that knowledge getting out by any means necessary, because they could stand to lose way too much motherfucking money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it could go either way. It really could.
But it's all about that dollar.
I agree with the idea of it being both on both ends. I've heard several people, Tariq as well, but I've heard several people who are from the LA area. I have a homegirl who actually lives in LA. She actually walked out there yesterday to check out the vigil, and she was there right when I don't want to say it was shots, but there was some kind of activity going on where they had to kind of shut things down because it was getting violent. She had to book it. But I've been talking to people out there, and when people been getting their feedback about what they're saying and how things went down, you know they block, they know their neighborhood. Most of the people, if not all, do not feel that this was a straight up and down gang related type activity, even though there were gang members and affiliates involved in the situation. For those people who aren't over there, myself included, they're saying that section and down in LA in the hood over there, it's not the way that it used to be back in the day, where it was like the Wild Wild West, cats getting shootouts, whatever. For the most part, it's been peaceful. I mean, you have your popping off every so often, every now and then, but for the most part, Bloods and Crips and the Essays and all those guys out there, they've been chilling for the most part, because they understand when the block is hot like that, you're not going to have a whole lot of productivity. People aren't going to be able to move weight. They're not going to be able to make deals to handle business. It's not good business for everybody. War does not profit like that. You take more losses when there's conflict. So they've been respecting boundaries and doing their thing. So for a high profile murder like this to go down just out the blue, no one's going to want to step up and take credit for that. Nipsey was loved by the Essays. He was loved by the Bloods, Crips. He had a lot of respect and love out there. He was a hood institution. He's probably about as close as you can get to the mayor.
There were actually men who did take credit for it. I actually saw one on Instagram, I think the day it happened, and he was saying that the cops were chasing him. I think a lot of them wanted to take credit because they're. I
would give those
y'all saying he was loved by this, that, and the third, but as a person who's been in gangs and has seen gang violence, Nipsey was still very much so about that life. He still had enemies. If he was
on the fringes, but not like that. I mean, this is a dude. Case in point, I don't know if you saw the story itself, and they released it as well. But ironic enough, just yesterday, just the day after he was murdered, he was already in talks where he was supposed to be linking up with the police and some other gang members, trying to facilitate truces, which he had been doing beforehand anyways. He was already negotiating ways for the gangs to come together and set codes, much the way Pac did back in the day as well too. So, he was joining up to come with ways to stop the violence.
Even Tariq Nasheed, okay, so if this wasn't a gang related thing, and everybody is trying to say this wasn't gang related, even Tariq Nasheed, because I saw this yesterday on his live, he said that there were 4 shootings in retaliation after Nipsey got killed.
Well,
4.
yeah.
No,
No, but if you're saying that there's a truce, if you're saying that there's a truce and there's all this peace, then everybody's gonna know what's what, right?
Well, it's not like that though. But here's the thing, because no one knows who did it. No one knows who did. No, at the time, no one knew who did it. There's a lot of hurt, and you had the person trying to orchestrate the piece who got popped. Remember, everybody's loving him, so everyone wants to get. This isn't just like a case. Well, this is your dude that got popped. He was everyone's dude in that regard. So the people who had love for him, they want to see whoever took him out to get that work. Another thing that's important to keep in mind is that there were retaliation shootings. However, at least 2 of those, it might have been one in one go, but 2 of the people who were victims were cousins of this dude Holder. I know they rode out and they shot 2 of his cousins. I'm not sure if they're dead or not, but 2 of them got shot, and dude's baby mama's house got shot up. So it hasn't necessarily been random, all regular random violence like that.
It wasn't a gang. It wasn't a gang thing. It wasn't like
the dude who did it is Crip, and he did have some static with Nipsey because he got G-checked.
If it wasn't no gang shit, then those 4 people that got shot up wouldn't have got shot up if it wasn't no gang shit. Y'all can't convince me otherwise.
It wasn't gang shit per se, but it's protocols you got to understand though.
Hold on. Are we gonna ignore the eyewitness statements? Are we gonna ignore what the eyewitness said? They said that he literally got into an argument with the guy about him being a snitch. Told him he had to leave. The guy came back 30 minutes later and shot him. Are we just gonna act like that?
Is that on video?
No, I'm not discounting that. The people involved may have been gang affiliated and gang related. I'm not taking that away. However, that didn't necessarily make it a gang thing. To say it's a gang issue means that this is gang sanctioned activity. This is
no, you guys want to minimize that shit because Nipsey had some money and Nipsey was loved by a community, and what y'all felt like he was doing for the community, that was still some gang shit. When you let me say this. When you enter into a gang, you in a gang for life. Nipsey put in work. So you don't get to get out the gang because you made it into a certain level at your life. You don't get to get out of the gang because you feel like you done switched over to a new leaf. No, Nipsey went back to the hood. Nipsey still partook in gang shit. Nipsey still repped. That's what happens.
But you just said it. Once you in for life.
Okay,
and he doesn't shy away from his.
So to sit there and say that it's not gang shit is crazy because that's exactly what it was.
But like most people, not like most people. Let me take that back. But like a lot of people, he doesn't walk away or he doesn't run away from the life that he used to. The fact is, he was a Crip. He did put in work, like you said. That's on the record. But he doesn't represent that as a way of saying, I'm a gang member. He shows where he was.
This is the shit that's crazy.
But he makes it clear that's where he was.
But this is the shit that's crazy. Niggas will do shit down the line, back in the day, and not expect that shit to come bite them back in the ass. And it happens. And that's what y'all brothers need to understand. What you do today will affect your tomorrow.
I get that. But like you just said, this was a case of something that happened over the span of 30 minutes. Dude got bounced at the place. He got mad and came back. So this isn't a case of something that he did way back.
Why would Nipsey Hussle be keeping up with snitches? Why would Nipsey Hussle be keeping up with snitches if Nipsey was this? And not to disrespect him. I'm just saying for what principle? What harm was it gonna do that dude standing around?
For starters, a lot of harm that could come because number one, even though Nipsey might not be active in the life, remember, dude was employing people in his hood. He was employing gang members. He was employing felons.
But if Nipsey was getting ready to talk to the LAPD about bringing truces and shit, and this dude was an informant, weren't they all on the same damn team? How does that work?
That's not snitching, though.
Well,
there's a difference between snitching, which is getting people in trouble, versus collaborating to try and stop violence all around.
Right. I mean, they were both collaborating with the cops, right?
That's the exact same thing that Big Hurt does, and he was the leader of one of those out of.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Frank.
I was saying, well, you got Big U, which is his big homie, rolling 60s Crips. And so in LA, it's a big thing where they've allotted money. The state has allotted, millions and millions of dollars for gang intervention. So what they do is they get a lot of OGs from these sets, and they go around and they set up programs like Big U, and they set, and other guys from Bloods, Crips, whatever, all over LA, whatever, and they do gang interventions where they basically go in and they talk to the young homies and they talk to them about gang violence or whatever. But what I'm saying is this, like, it was not, see, even in a gang, like, let's be honest, for somebody like Nipsey is he's a big target. He's not just some random.
Nah, and he was one of the head people in charge in LA, correct? One of the biggest Crips in LA, right?
Rolling 60s is probably the biggest Crip.
Yeah, and Nipsey and Snoop Dogg is pretty much the biggest Crips in LA, correct?
They're two of the biggest, yeah. But what I'm saying is this: even in gang culture, you don't do nothing like that if you don't get that signed off. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't go rogue. You don't go rogue and just run up on somebody solo on some gang shit. You know what I'm saying? If my set beefing with your set, that's different. He rolled up on that man solo, and I will say this: I do think it was somewhat of a conspiracy as well, because number one, he just ran up on him.
Let me ask y'all a question. Let me ask y'all a question. What did it benefit that man to risk his life? His family. You said two of his family members got shot, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right.
What did it benefit this man to go shoot Nipsey Hussle outside of getting clout from whatever? Because we see his family wasn't protected, correct? You said they shot up his family, something, correct?
He's an informant.
That's what they did.
Okay, so if what was so great? What was the government offering this man so great that this nigga would actually risk his family's life for Nipsey Hussle?
Well, I normally don't do this, but let me answer your question with the question. What did it benefit Martin Luther King's homies and people, the friends close to him, to go ahead and collaborate with the government to let him get popped?
What did it benefit the people who shot Malcolm?
Because we see years later they release names in newspapers.
The difference between Martin Luther King wasn't in no gang. Martin Luther King wasn't doing fucked up shit to the community and then decided to come back and being like.
But he still got assassinated.
Yeah, he still got assassinated, but that's not the same thing.
And he got set up by his partners, right?
If Martin Luther King was in a gang, then we could say the same. It's not the same thing. But
beloved, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that though. We're talking about you saying what does it benefit him to go and get Nipsey popped if he knew his family was a risk?
If you're saying that it's a conspiracy theory, what part of the conspiracy is where this nigga's people die and he gets nothing but put in jail or probably killed? I heard he turned himself in because they was gonna kill him anyway.
Because that's the trick of the enemy.
Are you ready?
Man, and you think that you really think that that a person you really think that a person that's been in a street life, let me finish. You really think that a person that's been in a street life would literally believe what the fuck a cop would tell him if they've been in and out of jail?
What choice does he have? Also, he is snitch, so it's not like collaborating in that manner is foreign to him. He's done it before.
Well, I mean, here's
what deal he's going to get. You have no idea what deal this man is going to get. He's an informant,
right?
You understand what I'm saying? He's an informant. Like he's working with them. You understand what I'm saying? And at the same time, like I'm not going to say that Nipsey is the same person as Malcolm, because he's not. He's nowhere near Malcolm. But what I'm saying is this: when you're doing something, first of all, any black person that's doing something positive is a threat. This is understood. Number one. Number two, when the powers that be decide to say, hey, this person is doing something we don't like, we can't get to them. A lot of times, if you look at history, they will use people that are around you. They will use people that are close to you to do their dirty work. The same thing with Malcolm. The people who actually shot Malcolm were registered members of the Nation of Islam, but it was no secret that the FBI wanted him, the CIA wanted him, that they wiretapped him, they followed him around, but they couldn't do it themselves. They couldn't kill him because they'd make him a martyr. So it's no coincidence that somebody who's close to him, who could get access to him,
I actually
could
like
pull this off.
what y'all
Could
was
pull it off.
saying. I know I
Nobody
have
else
not said much on this, but I'm
outside of the
enjoying
street
hearing
will be
y'all
able to get close to him.
and what y'all saying. However, I think what Black people need to focus on, and Tariq kind of alluded to this, is that we got to focus on the snitches, the rats, and the coons that we allow in our community. And
Amen.
that has been a problem for us the last 150 years. As far as the situation goes, do I think it was gang related? Yeah. Do I think the government had a hand in it? I mean, a lot of the information about the Dr. Sebi case is already out there. A quick Google search to get you all the information you need. There have already been documentaries on Dr. Sebi as well. So I think he was street shit than anything, hating ass niggas just hating on the dude that done leveled up out here. And I know everybody got their tinfoil hats on and the tinfoil kufis on, and I had my tinfoil dashiki on, and I did. But when you think about it, I just think it's more street shit than anything. But with that being said, Black people, we need to focus on purging from our community. Because if you look at, like Frank just mentioned, the Nation of Islam, yeah, they're the ones that killed Malcolm, but the government had a hand in it. Same with MLK, same with any assassination attempt. The government always has an attempt when men are moving, progress forward. I'm going to say this too. If Nipsey, let's just say if the government did have a hand in that, there are other Black people that are doing more for the community than Nipsey is, and they haven't got off yet.
Exactly.
Jason Black.
So, do you guys think
they're doing more for the community? And I'm not saying what Nipsey did. I'm not saying what he did was not important. He was doing a lot. I'm a Nipsey Hussle fan. His album Crenshaw, you can listen to that from track 1 to the end. Nothing but hits and bangers. I love
Crenshaw's a classic.
But is there other people out here that are doing more and they haven't got off yet? And so I think it was more street shit than anything. Now, do I think the music industry had something to do with it? Hell no. Do I think maybe the government may have, enticed them or something? Possibly. Maybe. But I think it was more gangster shit, street shit than government conspiracy. I really do.
One of the things that makes it difficult for me to believe that was just a straightforward beef is what I've been hearing about the description of how he got away. Based on what I've been hearing from a bunch of different people is that the layout of where Nipsey's store is, for the most part, when you take into account where the store is located, the different things that are going on presently right now there, and also the time of day he did this, any person with half a grain of sense would never even think to try and plan any sort of move like that, because unless you have some help, because that's almost a guaranteed death sentence.
But he
that spot right there on Crenshaw and Slauson is arguably the busiest intersection in LA like that. On Sundays, that area is packed. You got folks out there selling shirts. You got families out there, kids out there. It's a huge area. That plaza isn't very easy to get in and out of.
I think
also, during that time of day, there's heavy traffic. Plus, there's also construction that's going on. There's a major church that's across the street in the from behind where the store is, where dude got out.
I think Black people are giving white folks a little too much credit on this, and I also don't think they're not. I don't think they're giving enough credit to what an envious person can do to you.
I don't think
exactly.
We giving him credit. We're talking about the things outside that he popped up and shot him. He had the motive. We give him that, but it's everything else after that. How he got away. You got cameras all over the spot. It took them so long to figure out who the person was. They had no suspects at the time. They got cameras everywhere, and they see stuff. If you miss a run a red light out there right now, not only will they mail you a ticket of what you did, they also will send you a picture of your face as well at the time. They can see into the car the way those cameras are set up. So they're real thorough.
We're talking about a gang member who's been in the gang life his whole life. He probably doesn't have that very high of an IQ.
No, I wouldn't say that because he was actually pretty smart. Oh, you talking about the dude who killed him? Okay, my bad.
That who killed him is what you're saying he couldn't. But this is the thing. Obviously, he's not that bright of a criminal, so it's not unlikely that he would take a brazen, especially when he felt disrespected in front of everybody and take a brazen hit on Nipsey and not think it thoroughly. It's not.
No, absolutely. You're right. But I'm talking about the getaway. Because of that very same reason right there. Him being able to make a clean getaway like that doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
People need to understand the mind of a jealous person too. An envious person. Like when he shot him, he shot that dude with purpose. And then after he shot him,
he kicked him in the
face. I heard that he kicked him.
That's envy. And people, when somebody is envious of you and jealous of you, all logic goes out the door. Was it logical?
Absolutely.
In broad daylight? No.
But let's bring E in because E is actually from California. E lives in California right now. E, what are your thoughts on Nipsey Hussle's death? Do you think it was a conspiracy or gang violence?
Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, E.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, brother.
It's just like it's just like with that Tupac shit, man. Everything got to come out, man. You mean to tell me he was over there on crowded ass Crenshaw and Slauson, in which it stays crowded over there. He could shoot and kill Nipsey Hussle, and then when he got away, they even went to a mental hospital in Bellflower. Man, come on, man, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? So I gotta hear everything that come out because them 60 niggas been over there beefing like that. That ain't nothing new. His store been over there 2 years. So if they wanted to hit him, they could have hit him when he first put it over there. You know what I mean? So,
matter of fact, he got 2 plazas, if I'm not mistaken.
Everything else before I say, yeah, that nigga did it. That's just me.
So you think it was a conspiracy, Eric?
Well,
I think
okay, let me ask you this. Like the Black Panthers, hold up. Let me make a couple of points real quick. The Black Panthers was took down from the inside, which means that the FBI sent niggas that look just like the Black Panthers in there to take them down. Okay, so if a nigga gonna go over there and kill Nipsey Hussle, he not gonna look like Agent Smith from the Matrix. He gonna look just like one of your own. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, man, the motherfuckers out here is tricky. Like I said, everybody thought Baby Lane killed Tupac. Everybody out here know Baby Lane didn't kill Tupac. You go kill a nigga, then go run to your hood and be bragging about how you killed a nigga and see if the police ain't on your ass within minutes. That nigga was walking around free till he got killed over there at the car wash. So what I'm saying, it is haters. I ain't saying that it ain't no gang shit out here, but guess what? That gang shit is kind of played out here. That shit is burnt out here. Yeah, you still got some Bloods, you still got some Crips, but right now, if you call yourself being gang affiliated and they put them gang in hand, go steal a pack of gum, and you fuck around and be looking at about 12 years in gang enhancements. So niggas ain't out here acting up like that no more. That's why I'm like, man, I don't know. My son stay over there off Crenshaw and off Crenshaw and Florence when ain't nothing but right down the street. He got 8 uncles, and they all rolling 60 Crips. It ain't even been like that over there no more.
It's just real random for this to pop off like that. And again, with a high profile dude, for the same reason you're talking about, when you got constant beef, when there's bodies dropping every other weekend, every other day or whatever, you know, you a gang, you can't do nothing illegal. You can't move drugs, you can't move stolen goods, you can't trick hoes, you can't do anything to make profit because the block is hot. And especially someone as high profile as Nipsey.
The block, because
right now out there, the man's already dead. Right now, and I know he can testify, all of LA got cop presence everywhere. There's police all over the place. I'm hearing they got choppers flying around. They got police drones and stuff on the blocks, whatever. Ain't nobody selling anything.
FBI.
I feel bad for any dope boy right now that got bills coming up due because you ain't moving nothing to pay nothing. You stuck right now. You gonna have to try and import or export some kind of goods.
You feel bad for a dope boy? Okay,
I'm. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, if you got bills to pay and you depending on moving this weight tonight or the next week,
the rest of fucking society. What the fuck?
You know what I'm talking about. If you depend on that right now to make some ends meet the next couple of weeks, you can forget that. You better find a rich uncle because you ain't moving nothing. There's too much eyes. It's bad business for everybody involved. And that's exactly the reason why it wouldn't make sense to do that. Because now you cutting into blood profits, you cutting into Crip profits, SA profits, ain't no money being made. So again, unless that was made from a higher up call from the top notch Bloods Crips, where there's an agreement at the top level where they can make an arrangement for how they can still profit during this time period, that's not going to happen because everyone's going to have to readjust how they do things now.
Yeah, I think
I understand the street stuff is random, but there's still a method to the madness in the middle of it.
Street shit. I'm not talking like, oh, it's the gang members versus the gang. I think it was just this dude was hating on Nipsey. He had a personal beef with him and got up with him. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And it hurt the Bloods and the Crips. And everybody was looking for dude. The Rolling Sixes were looking for him. Bloods were looking for him. Some of his family members have been killed. Like it's I don't think it was so much Bloods versus Crips as it was just this straight envious ass nigga.
It's everybody versus this nigga.
Yo, just to be clear, just to be clear, the guy who did it was a Crip. Also.
Right.
Yep.
He was a Crip. Wow. He was a Rolling Six.
It was not.
He was on the outs because he was a snitch, but yeah, he was a Crip.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think his name was what, Shitty Cuz or something?
Yeah, Shitty Cuz. Yo.
That the name all by itself says it. I mean, you ain't gotta say nothing else. Who shot him? Shitty Cuz. Say no more, fam.
Melanated, excuse me, Lord have mercy. Paradox Report, what are your final thoughts on this?
Yeah, Melanated Thoughts is in the chat room trolling, so
she's still going.
Sure that's why you said her name.
Hey, y'all do know Nipsey had haters like soon as he became famous, right? Nipsey didn't just now get no haters.
Oh yeah,
he been had haters, just like all people that got money.
It's almost a rite of passage.
You know what I'm
if
saying?
You ain't got haters, you ain't doing it.
So why all of a sudden?
The point still remains. There are people that are still alive that are doing more than what Nipsey was doing.
Everybody got haters. Hey, Danielle got haters. Danielle got haters in the group. Shit, hey, motherfuckers got haters. But do you understand? They didn't only shoot him. They shot his entourage. He was with two niggas. Them niggas had jammies. You know what I'm saying?
As I understand it, though, that was his. They were his bodyguards, or at least they were packing like that, which I thought was interesting. Well, they got popped. I mean, what can they do? You know, if they shot Nipsey and they saw, then they can respond as one thing. But if they took him out first, which is a smart thing to do, I mean, they're only human beings.
Hey, that nigga had enough bullets. That nigga had enough bullets from that handgun to shoot 2 bodyguards and still shoot Nipsey 6 times, and then come back and kick him and do all that shit. Then get him. You know how hard it is to get out that parking lot over there? That is a little big ass plaza. Crenshaw.
That's what I'm saying.
Floss and stay crowded.
So what do y'all?
It took that nigga about 10 minutes to get out that parking lot. I'm saying there's more to it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because like I said,
want the cops to get him out of the parking lot because I'm confused. Like what?
They think that the government has something to do with it because look, it was too orchestrated. Which I think
niggas that got money. And look, niggas that got money like that, they service both sides. See, Nipsey was cool with Bloods and Crips. So, you know what I'm saying? It be niggas be trying to move like that now because it is too hot out here to do anything. Look, you can't even sell weed out here no more because the white boys done put weed clinics in all the neighborhoods. It's the weed.
Yeah, they gentrifying it up.
Corner. When it used to be legal for you, it was illegal for you to sell weed. Huh.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something real quick, E, because I heard 1 or 2 people testify to it, but I'd like to hear as well. Supposedly they've been, I don't know who it is, but the military or some paramilitary type organization, could be law enforcement, could be SWAT teams too, whatever. But I've been hearing that supposedly in downtown LA, they've been having some military drills like late at night or in the middle of the night for a little while now. Is that true, or what's the deal with that?
Oh, you can look that up. You can look that up. They did that shit all night. You can look it up. That shit, man. Dude, just earlier today, we seen 4 military helicopters on their way downtown.
We probably gonna end up doing a panel
4 of them.
discussion on
4
FEMA camps
military helicopters.
and the New World Takeover or the New World Order. We probably gonna end up doing a panel about that and conspiracy theories. So everybody can stay tuned for that. But right now we're getting ready to wrap it up. Final thoughts, and we will start with Paradox Report. What's up, bro? What do you think?
I mean, I'm kind of beat now. I think I said all I have to say, and that's pretty much it. And good night to everybody.
Okay.
Hi, honey.
Bobby, what are your thoughts? Final thoughts.
My final thoughts are I like to close mainly on the legacy of Nipsey Hussle, aka Ermias Askedad. Dude was a stand-up brother. He did so much for his people, for his city, for his block in such a short amount of time. He definitely was focused and about the business, and even though he got started off on the wrong foot, as soon as he was able to, he made sure he got settled, and he definitely exemplified that it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Let's not let his death be in vain. Let's take the efforts that he demonstrated in the later parts of his life and multiply that. We should all be a Nipsey Hussle in some way, shape, or form. We don't all have to have, shopping centers all over the place, but we can mentor kids. We can put other young people on to opportunities we didn't have or didn't know about. We can make that difference. So that way, if a Nipsey Hussle falls, it's cool. We got 3, 4, 5 more out there. It's the only way we're going to be able to stand up, the only way we're going to be able to move on and make sure that we're able to beat the system of racism, white supremacy, destroy it, and replace it with a system of justice. And much love to everyone who's doing that, and encouragement to everyone who's about to get started on it.
Eric, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I'm going to just put it like this. This country has a history of taking down brothers that was actually for the people. If you look at a whole lot of events historically, every good brother, most of them were killed, and the ones that weren't killed, look at what they're doing right now. Bill Cosby should not be in motherfucking jail. You know what I'm saying? Ooh. Especially with the money he had. Suge Knight, at one time, he was probably, you know what I'm saying, the biggest motherfucker in the music world. Where he at? He's sitting in jail. They just digging up Michael Jackson to destroy his legacy. R. Kelly, you know what I'm saying? It's fuck that nigga, but goddamn, y'all got all these videotapes surfacing. That means somebody been knowing he been fucking kids. See, now why all of a sudden now you looking to destroy that man? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm saying Nipsey was a brother that was putting businesses in the hood. That nigga had bought a whole lot of homes in the hood. And you know what I'm saying? Just historically, motherfuckers that's actually for the people are the first ones to come up dead, man. So, I'm just saying that just to me, is more to it than what they trying to say. Don't believe the media. They control the media. So they're going to control your thought pattern about it. Now, it was this dude right here. They got motherfuckers thinking Lee Harvey Oswald killed John F. Kennedy. But, yeah, okay. And my name is Jack Sparrow. So I'm going to just leave it at that.
Okay. Curlin, what are your final thoughts?
I think it's unfortunate that bro got taken out in cold blood like that. I don't have a thorough history of like all of the gang shit in his background, but you know what I'm saying? For everything that I've heard and read, the way that this went down doesn't really pass the smell test of like some regular old gang shit. That's all I got on that. You know what I'm saying?
Frank, what you got?
All right, I'll start off by saying I just want to thank y'all for having me on. I'll just go with what a lot of the brothers have said already. Just keep your eyes open, man. We're in a war. Black people are the only ones who don't know that. Everybody else is on code. They're moving and shaking as a unit. and we have to do the same thing. And until we do that, you know, we're going to continue to be soft targets, and we're going to continue to be exploited. So until we have a set code of conduct amongst each other, you know, we're going to continue to see a lot of these things happening. So y'all have a good one.
Mary Saint? Oh, excuse me, Gabe. Gabe, Lord, girl, I don't know how I forgot about him. Gabe, what you got, babe?
Oh, how could you forget about me? Goodness, see,
Honey, you had got quiet. I didn't know what happened.
no. Thanks again for having me on the panel, Danielle and Mary Sink. I have a YouTube channel. It's the Ultimate Black Man Radio. I'm gonna start broadcasting every Thursday on that channel. I have a show coming up Thursday where I will be talking about hip hop and the origins of hip hop. I'll also be talking about culture vultures. So there might be something people here want to tune into for that. I'll close with saying this. As far as the Nipsey Hussle situation is concerned, it really hurt me because I was a real fan of Nip. And despite whether it's a conspiracy theory or if it was on some gang shit, I really wish Black people would focus more on developing a code and developing their economics. If we put as much effort into developing our economic game as we did coming up with conspiracy theories, a lot of this stuff that we deal with in our communities as far as violence, whether it's gang violence or white supremacy or government conspiracies, we could stop a lot of that. Dr. Claude Anderson always says that you have to have, if Black people want to survive, they have to develop a community, and you develop that community by having families. You cannot have families unless everyone is economically sound. You have to be economically sound. I really wish Black folks would get off the conspiracy theory bullshit and focus more on developing their money and putting their resources and funds together. This is why so many other communities don't have a lot of this shit going on in their communities, is because they have their economic game together and there is a code. And to close out, as far as the single motherhood and should men play stepdads, I want men to start to develop standards. We're the only group of people that are having this conversation, but we're the only group of men on the planet that do not have standards. And if Black men want Black women to change, we have got to develop a standard. We have to stop getting these women pregnant. We have to stop smashing on single moms, smashing on chicks that we say are undesirable. And then when we get behind closed doors, we're singing a different tune. Black men need to develop a code, and we need to develop a standard. And once we develop that standard, the women will follow suit. And we won't be having these conversations such as, are stepdaddies necessary, or do men have to play stepfathers in order to gain control of the community again. So that's what I want Black men to do. We have to change our thought process. And once we change the thought process and start prioritizing what's important and what's not important, we'll be a lot further along as a people. And that's all I got to say.
Okay. I just want to thank you all for joining. Say again, Eric?
That's something real quick that he just said.
Sure, go ahead.
I want to piggyback something that he said, man. Look, some of the coolest women I know are actually single mothers. And look, sometimes, man, life just is what it is, man. Shit happens. You deal with it and you move the fuck on. Life ain't perfect nowhere. So either you like her or you don't. If you like her and you know she got a kid.
That's part of our problem there now. We have too many dudes running around here.
Wait a minute, Gabe. You already had your final thoughts.
No, because he's responding to what I'm saying. This is part of what I was saying in my final thoughts. Well, she cool. Some of the coolest people I know are single moms. That's fine if she's cool. But again, other men don't have these conversations. It is understood that if I am a man and I have no kids, I am going to seek out and desire a woman with no children. That's part of our problem now. Too many Black people.
Okay. I'm gonna wrap this on up because we'll end up right back in the same conversation. Let me just say this. As far as Nipsey Hussle, I'm not gonna sit here in front like I was a fan of his music, but I was more so of a Lauren London fan. I've been following Lauren London's career for a while, and you know, to see that her children aren't going to have a father present. For these kids, for a child to have gotten shot in front of her dad, you know, it's just sad. And I just wish our community would come together. As far as the single moms and stepdads are concerned, you know, we aren't all bad people. We all started out somewhere. We're still human beings. We still have feelings. A lot of us do have some type of respect for ourselves. A lot of us have made better choices along the way. So, you know, I just wish we could all come together. I really, really want to thank Paradox Report, Curlin, Gabe, Eric, Frank, and Bobby. I really thank you guys for joining our panel. Marisol, take us out.
Okay. Guys, I also want to thank all you guys for joining us. You guys did really, really good. I truly appreciate it. For those listening, I would like to say make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on our channel. As far as my final thoughts on the Nipsey Hussle, I really feel very, very sad that we lost a man to such unnecessary violence. My heart goes out to Lauren. I can't imagine. I think that this is one of our fears as women, is to lose our man to very abruptly into such a senseless violence. It's such a scary thing to think about. As far as the stepfathers thing, I think everybody said what they had to say. I don't really too much have an opinion on it too much. But anyways, like I said, I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank you for like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And we will see you guys probably next week. Look out for our next panel. We have some fun things coming up. We have an astrology panel coming up, because I do dabble in astrology. That's going to be fun. Look out for our panel on marriage and whether or not marriage is still worthwhile. That one will be coming up soon too. And I hope everyone has a good night.
Good night, people.